excited because today we're going to be talking about studio kit. Last week I posted some photos of me on a shoot, and loads of people asked me about the kit I use, and so instead of just replying to everyone individually, I figured it might be easier to do a live where I just walk through all of the equipment I use. So I've never done a live like this before where you're like on a tripod and I'm talking, and I'm gonna try and like move the tripod around and see how it goes. As I can't really see the screen that easily, I'm gonna answer questions at the end. So if you have questions as I'm going, please just leave them in there and I'll scroll through at the end and answer them. It's pretty simple. I have very minimal kit. I do not use a lot of stuff, but I'm just gonna walk you through everything I have, and then if you have any questions about it, ask away. Okay, so starting off with cameras. I shoot a mix of digital and film, but when I'm shooting in studio, most of the time I'm shooting for my clients and they tend to need digital imagery first. Film is like an after, if we have time kind of thing. So I still shoot on a Nikon D750. I've had it for a very long time. I don't think that cameras need to be invested in frequently. If you want the up-to-date camera, go for it. Once I have something that I like and I know how it works, I stick with it for as long as possible. And then the next piece of kind of essential kit, I would say, is my laptop. So here I have just a simple MacBook Pro. I've had it for years and years and years and years. And on this, I always have Capture One. Capture One is the industry standard for tethering your camera to your laptop with, which means that when I take a photo, the client can see it straight on the screen. So it's really, really handy. Every client loves it. It's, when you start working with bigger brands, they expect you to use Capture One. If you're using Lightroom, that's fine, but I do recommend, if you can, learning how to use Capture One and investing in Capture One. I know it's more software and it's expensive, but it really does pay off. It's so much better to use. I find it much more intuitive to tether to than Lightroom, so I prefer it. Next piece of essential kit is a tethering cable. Mine's all like tangled up because I've not actually plugged it into my camera, but basically this is a cable. It's very long that you plug into your camera. So if I show you, mine plugs in here like that, and then when I'm shooting, I don't actually have a memory card in my camera. The images go straight from the camera into the hard drive that I would normally have plugged into my computer. So everything's automatically going onto a hard drive, which is great. If you are going to be tethering, I would recommend using a jerk stop kind of thing, which is like a tripod thingy. You put it underneath your camera and you wind the tethering cable through it. I didn't have one of these until recently, and basically this stops the cable from being yanked out of your camera unexpectedly and breaking. This happened to me on a shoot before Christmas. Someone accidentally stood on the cable broke. It was fine, it wasn't a big deal. There was a spare one, so it was okay. But this would have stopped the cable from snapping and breaking. So if you can afford one, get one. I got mine on Amazon for really cheap. The Tether Tools one is stupidly expensive. I think it's probably better than this one, if I'm not gonna lie. I've not had this one for very long, but so far it's working fine. So I would invest in some kind of jerk stop thing that's gonna stop your cable from being yanked out unexpectedly, because it's frustrating and these cables are expensive. I think this one's about £40, so they are expensive to have, so you don't want them breaking. Next, I hope you can all see this. Yeah, so I've got a backdrop stand here, and I've not put it all the way up because I'm not shooting. I'm not going to bother. The fact that I even put up all my stuff, I was impressed. So here you go. I've got a piece of backdrop paper here. This one I was actually given, I think, a while ago. So I can't tell you where I get this exact colour, but I get most of my backdrops from Wex Photo Video. They come really quickly. I have at home mostly 1m35 wide backdrops. The reason being that the other standard is like 2 meters or something, and they're really big, and I don't have enough space in my house to necessarily put up a 2 meter backdrop. So I use this primarily for shooting like beauty or 3/4 length portraits. If you're going to be doing full length fashion, you do need probably a wider backdrop than I've got here. But the good thing about this backdrop stand, so what it's on, this black thing here, is that I have an extension for it below in this bag down here that makes the backdrop stand much wider. So if I do have a bigger backdrop piece of paper, I can extend the backdrop stand even further, and it will fit that cable, so that backdrop. So whatever I have, I'm ready for it. The backdrop stand itself, so the thing that's holding the paper up, I've had for ages. I think I must have bought it on Wex 8 years ago. I've had it a really, really long time, like since I was at uni. And I think it was probably about £150 for the kit itself. You don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money on your backdrop stands, but I would recommend investing a little bit into it, just because they have to hold the weight of the paper, and the backdrop paper can be heavy. If you need to only have something really small and malleable, I would use fabric backdrops or curtains or something instead of paper, because the paper is more expensive and heavier. The other thing I have on here is a clip. This stops your paper from rolling, and they're quite strong. This is a Teletools one. I'm gonna get a bit closer so you can see. So it's like that. It's a clip. They're pretty sturdy. I have 2 or 3 of them. Most people have these. They're very good. They stop your backdrop from rolling out and like losing all your paper. So that is that. Right, let's move on to the light, which is here, and I'm going to move you so that you can see the light. So there we go. Okay, so this is my light, and it's enormous, as you can see, because if I'm standing next to it, it's big. I hope everyone can hear me. I'm talking quite loudly, which is unusual for me. I'm quite quiet. So the light I have is a Pixapro Storm 2 400, which is essentially the UK's version of Godox. It means it's basically a cheaper version of Profoto. They're not as pretty as the Profoto lights. They're not quite as like snazzy looking as the Profoto lights, or most lights, to be honest, but they're a lot cheaper. And like, even these are expensive. So, you know, lighting is expensive in general. The very, very first lighting kit I ever bought was about £200 off Amazon for 3 lights. And honestly, I still got that kit and I still use it when I need an extra light. Eventually I will get rid of it and I will invest in another one of these and another 2 of these. But for now, this one is my key light for pretty much everything. Often, most of my setups are just 1 light setups. So I just use this light. I don't often use another one, unless I'm doing something a bit more creative. But for most of the work that I'm doing, I'm using this 1 light with this specific modifier. So I actually bought this modifier, and I'll deconstruct it in a minute so you can see it properly. I bought it in October. Before that, I had a big Octabox, which I still have, but the big Octabox is so much harder to put up, so much more difficult to put down. It takes up so much more space. This is just an umbrella with a really big diffusion sheet on it that like wraps around it on elastic. It's the easiest thing I have bought, and it was so much cheaper than the Octabox. I think the modifier itself with the sheet was £150, which I know is expensive. Like photography equipment, do not get me started. It is expensive stuff. I spend a lot of money every year on just upgrading my kit and making sure that I have the tools I need to do the work that I need to do. But this has made my life so much easier. It's made my clients' images so much better. Like, I can take this around with me. It collapses into something super small. I'll actually afterwards, I'll post a photo or something on my stories of how small this entire kit comes to. And it means that I can fit it in my car really easily. If I needed to travel without my car, I'm sure I could. I could probably squeeze everything into a big suitcase and a backpack, like if I was being really picky. But yeah, so I'm going to swivel it round. I'm going to try to without knocking everything down. But you can see that it is, no, I can't do that. Maybe this way. Yeah, so this is what it looks like on the side. It's basically a really big umbrella. The spool of the umbrella slides in this way, and then the light bounces into the light this way and then out, and is diffused by this really big sheet, which makes the light really nice and soft. I'm not often shooting anything very hard lit or harsh lighting, especially for my clients. They tend to just want something really natural and simple. So this is my go-to for that. Right, I'm going to lower the light a little bit, and I'm going to show you what it looks like inside without the diffusion on it. Alright, so you basically just pull this off like a big sheet, and as you can see, inside it's basically just a big umbrella, and the light is pointing into it. I can't take this off properly because I have to take it off without the thing being attached to the light, but I can control the light settings and things here on the back of it, and then the light flashes into the modifier, bounces out and bounces around the room, and with the added layer of this, it makes the light really nice and soft. The only other things I was going to show you was gels. I have a pack here of pretty cheap gels. I bought them on Amazon. They're from Newer. A lot of my stuff is from Newer because it's cheap and affordable. But I tend to use the orange or the red colours. I'm often trying to warm up my light, but the way that you use a gel is you basically just stick the gel onto the front of your light, which means that when the light flashes, it goes through the gel, picks up the colour of the gel, and then bounces back into the room with that colour. So gels are really good. You can get super creative with gels. As I said, I tend to just use them to slightly warm up the scene or like make it look more golden. I often want my imagery to look like it's shot at sunset in studio. So that's basically it. I'm gonna come back now and move you again and sit down and just check there are no questions. Yeah, I hope that was, oh god, I can't see now because I'm being blinded by the sun. Okay, that's better. Right, has anyone got any questions about everything I shared? It's very, very simple stuff. Like, I don't have a huge amount of kit, keep it very, very simple. Because I don't like things being complicated. I just want things to be easy. Yeah, I hope that was interesting. I didn't do like a demo. I don't really teach much technical stuff because there are so many other people out there who do a much better job at that than I do. And I'm just not that technical of a photographer. I keep things really simple. I don't like to think about kit if I don't have to. So that's why I keep things like this. Doesn't seem to be any questions. If you watch this back and you have questions afterwards, please feel free to send me a DM. I will happily answer your questions afterwards, and I hope you have a lovely afternoon.